Right now, I would like to bring up Paloma Vargas. Paloma is from Moreno Valley Unified School District, and she will be talking about her project, Seeing with Sound. Paloma?
Hi, everyone. I'm Paloma Vargas. I am a graduated student from Vista Heights Middle School in Moreno Valley. Now I am a ninth grader at River Springs Charter School in Riverside. My project is called Seeing with Sound. It is an experiment designed to study the use of human echolocation in place of sight. For a few minutes, I'm going to be talking about my project, and then I will give you guys a couple of secrets that helped me grab so many awards in science fair, including the Sweepstakes Trophy, Broadcom Masters nomination, and UCLA Brain Research Institute Trophy. I had become interested in echolocation and was researching when I found information on something called human echolocation. This is when humans use echolocation. You make sound and use hearing only to make out the sound waves that bounce off objects. When you use echolocation, it isn't just incoming sound waves, but a feeling you get when you are close to an object. The goal of my project was to test whether seeing persons could use echolocation based on the person's focus, hearing, and life experience. I found that life experience was not relevant since both younger and older people were able to use it. I formulated my hypothesis to test if it would be possible for certain newly visually impaired people to use echolocation easier than others. So I decided to blindfold seeing people and test their abilities of echolocation. The most interesting thing to me about my topic is the fact that echolocation can benefit anyone who uses it, giving them more confidence and dependence on themselves. This is so someone who is visually impaired doesn't feel nervous because they have to rely on a device. Echolocation can work as efficiently. In my project, I found that blind people have been applying it for hundreds of years, using both phonation, clicking, clapping, snapping, and tapping. It was reported in 1749 that blind humans were able to locate silent objects using echolocation. To get all the information I have now, I had to complete a lot of research. There were many resources I found because of it. These included websites, articles, a special abstract written by a student at UC Berkeley, and an interview with Daniel Kish, a well-known expert in this field, which led to even more resources, I might add. My project is very special due to its meaning and topic. Many people don't know humans can learn and use echolocation in their everyday lives. Not only that, but echolocation can make it easier for the visually impaired to live independent lives. There were definitely a few interesting things to me I learned when I was doing my project. The first thing was that humans can learn and use echolocation. Another interesting thing is that using echolocation builds more personal confidence than using tools. I also found that people can begin learning how to use echolocation immediately after losing their sight. Before completing my experiments, I had to learn how to use echolocation in order to instruct my participants. I asked my participants to complete a series of experiments. There were 4 tasks, 2 indoors and 2 outdoors. I briefly explained how to use phonation for echolocation. Then I blindfolded the participants and observed them while they used phonation to complete the tasks. Other than one subject and one experiment, they were all able to complete all tasks using echolocation. I was amazed. From the data I retrieved, I found that humans who are not blind can learn to use echolocation as well. I also found that people who can focus well are able to use echolocation better than others. When I held my experiments, all my subjects were quickly able to learn and use echolocation. This means recently visually impaired people could learn echolocation right away. My research indicates that over time, people who use flash sonar adapt to hearing unusual sound, including background noises. All my subjects were able to get back on track once they were distracted. My participants were able to complete every task with the exception of one subject not being able to complete activity 4. Let's look at the section which contains data in my notebook, please. While collecting my data, I took careful note of the range of activities, the behavior of my subjects, the time, adaptations, and any abnormalities that might affect my results. I took note of the variations in performance between young and old, male and female. This helped me later when writing about my experiment. If you look at the graph for my experiments in my digital notebook, you can see that there really isn't a difference between male and female, but there is a difference between children and adults. The children took a shorter time because they had a higher confidence and trust level in themselves than the adults. Their brains were also able to pick up the technique more quickly than the adults. Although overall most of the adults seemed to have more accuracy, even though they took more time to complete experiments. I could not have covered this information without careful observation and documentation. It is my belief that observations are of equal importance to the raw data in this experiment, since they speak to the change in attitude and confidence as each subject went through activity 1 to 4. The source of error in my project was to have more data. To do this, I would have needed more participants. Social distancing prevented me from having more data, but I would love to continue my research in the near future. My current experiment does not account for attitude, which Daniel Kish explained to me is very important to the learning process. Some problems I encountered while completing these experiments were my subjects not wanting to rely on their hearing only. At first, they could not believe they would be able to use echolocation, and this became a minor setback for them. Once they started to trust themselves, they were able to use it. Another problem was social distancing rules. I found that seeing people could use echolocation with over 73% overall accuracy from my subjects. One question that came up after my work was, is there potential for human echolocation to be taught in a class environment as part of a continuing wellness treatment for those who are recently visually impaired? After looking over my results and my research and speaking with Daniel Kish, I would like to create another experiment in the near future to test the effects of attitude on how long it takes someone to learn to use human echolocation efficiently. Echolocation can make traveling safer for the legally blind. It is my hope that in the near future, if a person loses their sight, they will be able to go to a class that teaches echolocation. This class could be funded by healthcare providers. A practical application from my experiment is that those who are visually impaired can become self-reliant. Also, if they were to have echolocation classes, a blind person could possibly teach them so they could learn more, because the teacher would have experience. The lives of thousands could be changed through seeing with sound. Now I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the things that helped me along the way. There were five main things that I would like to jump into. So the first one is make sure that you keep a running list of things to do and share it with your mentor/coach, because a lot of us, we tend to forget what we need to do. And so it's good to have someone there to remind us. The second thing is that I had two coaches, one as my science teacher and the other one was someone at home to help me remember my list and give me suggestions. The third thing is do more research than you need. Everyone knows my main topic is human echolocation, but before I actually chose that topic, I had another one, and I was planning to do an engineering project based on something called the Ultra Cane. This is it's an electronic cane that helps blind people travel. It like buzzes your finger on a finger pad. And so I wanted to create I wanted to copy my idea off of that, but I wasn't able to get enough research. And so I was looking more into echolocation, and I found something called human echolocation. The fourth thing is to prepare for the next level, even if you don't think you're going to make it through. This is because sometimes you do make it through when you don't think you're going to, and then you end up rushing to add data, and it just gets very stressful. So make sure that you are adding data for the next level no matter what. The fifth thing is to set a schedule to work on your project. I'm a procrastinator, so I tend to put it off, and that is why I have a schedule. Also, I have something called ADHD. I'm sure all of you guys know what that is, but I'll just explain it anyways. ADHD is something that a lot of people tend to have, and it just means that our brains are rewired differently than most people. It's harder for us to focus, and we get distracted very easily. Some people even fidget because of it, so they have to do something every 5 seconds. Because I have ADHD, I have to work harder than most people, but the need to revise and be persistent really helped me to excel. Thank you.